If you're heading to France soon for your very first French vacation, you come to the right place. I'm going to help get you prepared. So in this video, we're going to jump right into some of my top France travel tips that first-time travelers like you need to know. So let's get into it. All right, in case you're new here, welcome, bonjour, I'm Diane, and this is We in France, where we talk about everyday French life and beyond from the point of view of an American who's lived in the Loire Valley since 2012. Okay, number one, take your time. Now, for the French, life isn't all about rushing to fit as much into the day as possible, so you might be caught off guard by the pace of life here, especially during the summer months. Now, not every French person operates at this slower pace, but you will see the French sitting down to enjoy leisurely meals, not rushing to get on to the next thing, and just enjoying their time. And it's built into French culture. In terms of store hours, they're going to be different, most of the time shorter than what you're used to, often closed at lunch, closed Sundays, and sometimes Mondays. And the French work to live, not the other way around, and I completely understand only having a week or two of vacation and trying to do as much as you can, but just be sure to check attractions' operating hours and check that calendar before going, because there are always public holidays, especially the month of May, for maintenance and just other things during the summer, so check before you go. Okay, number two, learn a few key French phrases. Outside of hospitality and tourism industries, the vast majority of French people do not speak fluent English, and this is especially true in smaller towns. And as I always say, no one expects tourists to speak even conversational French, don't worry. But learning a few key phrases, very easy ones, will go a long way toward respecting the French norms, making a good first impression, and just having a good trip. So be sure, first and foremost, to learn the magic word, hello, bonjour, merci, which is thank you, and s'il vous plaît, please, and then for good measure, goodbye is au revoir. And that's a bare minimum. And use these often. Don't stress about your pronunciation. The effort is what counts here. And for more on that, I have an entire French travel phrases blog post with audio clips that my husband did for us to help you out further. So I'll link that blog post below. And as I've said many times here on this channel, always be sure to say bonjour to anyone you approach for anything. So, the employee at a hotel, a waiter, a woman you stop in the street to ask directions, anyone. Say bonjour and say it often. All right, number three, the food and wine will be a highlight of your trip, so try everything. Be adventurous. And when it comes to top France tips, I think this might be the tastiest one. So from the wine and the cheese to the bread and the pastries and the local specialties and all of that, France is a foodie's dream. So hit up those farmers markets, restaurants, especially ones that source fare locally, specialty shops, and anything else that catches your eye. And if you visit in the spring or early summer, the strawberries and cherries are incredible. So sample the local fruit, all the different delicacies, and you'll thank me for that. Also, before getting into number four, let me just point out real quick, I have an e-guide for even more France travel tips. It's just a few bucks, and it'll help you be even more prepared for your trip to France. It's titled 75 Beginner France Travel Tips for a Standout Trip, and it's broken down into different categories like money, accommodations, tips on transport, and that sort of thing. And if you want to be even more prepared for dealing with the French and French culture and all of that, I've linked that below for anyone interested. Okay, number four, write down and commit it to memory that the emergency phone number is 112, just in case, because you never know. Across Europe, 112 is the equivalent of 911, so obviously it works here in France and other EU countries. And it works from cell phones, landlines, and public payphones. Now, specific to France, if you want to get fancy, you dial 15 for medical emergencies, 17 for the police, and 18 for the fire department. But if you're going to remember one thing, it's 112. Okay, number five is to experience France and all things French without judgment. And I feel we really need to be respectful of the people and the country we're visiting. That goes without saying. And I know, because I've done it, it can be a snap reaction to just dismiss cultural differences as stupid or wrong. And if these thoughts cross your mind, you're normal. We're only human after all. But I would really recommend that you try your best to keep these cultural judgments to yourself and definitely don't audibly express them in earshot of others. Yes, I've heard people who have done that, exactly that, time and time again. And whether we feel something makes sense or not is neither here nor there, because we're here as guests in France on vacation. So things are done the French way in France. So just try to keep an open mind about that. Go with the flow, laugh about things, and just take it in stride if anything strikes you as totally bizarre or stupid or whatever comes to mind. Just go with the flow on that. Okay, so number 6, there's no dress code. Yes, the French wear sneakers, they wear shorts. Not everyone is a fashion maven. And for everyday sightseeing, wear what you're comfortable and confident wearing. You know, no one's secretly judging you by your fashion choices. It's not the time to bust out your brand new 6-inch stiletto heels. And I will say, if you want to come off as more French and fit in a little bit better, wear casual sneakers instead of athletic shoes. You might want to try muted colors, neutral colors, and slightly dressier clothing options than what you'd wear at home. So no flip-flops, think of fancier sandals. No athletic shorts, think of fancier shorts, maybe with a belt or in linen or something like that. You know, you do what you feel most comfortable in. French people's everyday casual might be just a little bit dressier than what you'd wear at home, but there's no rule on this, especially, again, outside of big cities. Now, fancy restaurants are different stories. They might have a dress code, so of course, make sure you're aware of that and dress accordingly. But for everyday sightseeing, just wear what's comfortable and what makes sense for you. Number 7, avoid being a target for pickpockets. And like many major cities, Paris and other big cities in France are hotspots for pickpockets and scammers. And in Paris, be especially alert around major tourist attractions like the Louvre, Notre Dame, les Champs-Élysées, things like that, and of course the Eiffel Tower. And it's so easy to get caught up in the sights and the sounds and kind of lose track of where your bag is or where your valuables are. So if anyone approaches you to try to get you to sign a petition, to put a bracelet on your wrist, to give you a ring that they found on the ground, steer clear, just say no thank you and get away from that person. They're all scams. And also, I know we use our phones a lot. There's Wi-Fi everywhere. Don't leave it on a cafe table or at a restaurant table, even if you just duck down to get something out of your bag real quick. Thieves can be watching. They're masters at distracting you and then swooping in to grab your phone when you least expect it. And I've seen this happen in front of me, and with the price of phones and electronics these days, just keep things tucked away. All right, that wraps up my 7 France travel tips for beginners. I have a bunch of other videos on travel topics and French culture and language that you might find interesting and useful, so I'd love for you to check those out. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate you being here, and I do have a line of merch here, including my All Out of Fox shirt here, so I would love for you to check that out. It's a way to support my channel, and thanks again for being here. I'll see you back here on We in France soon. Salut! Thank you.